had two small children. I didn't know what a divorce life looked like, and went through a pretty serious depression, and the doctor wanted to give me medicine that made me like a zombie, and I didn't like it. I just asked myself, what does nature have to teach me as I take that walk? And something comes to mind every time, and that can be that still small voice of God that you're hearing through the tree or the rabbit or the fox. In my case, I see a lot of foxes in my world. As of September 30th, my husband and I are both retired with a six-figure retirement plan.
Yes! Miss Lari Jo. Lari Jo, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. Hello, and welcome to the Attract Abundance and Retire Wealthy podcast. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I just drove into town and I'm so excited about the weekend and everything that's going on. I can't wait to get started.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. So I know that you are a businesswoman, so go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So my name is Lari Jo, and I'm a nature-connected transformational coach, which means I work with stress and anxiety and overwhelm through the lens of the seasons and cycles of nature. So just like nature has a time to spring and produce beautiful flowers, so do we. And just like nature has a time to be fallow, so do we. So we kind of work through that and figure out where you are in your seasonal cycles and help you plan accordingly to plant the seeds you need to have an amazing spring and summer.
Beautiful, beautiful. So what about the fall and winter?
The fall and winter is where you do your planting, your gathering, and your planting.
So we're in the planting and gathering, and
we're at the end of gathering because we just have finished the autumn, or we're just in the end parts of autumn, and we're moving into the fallow time of winter where we need to be more reflective and internal and go inward and see what we have accomplished throughout the year and what we may not have accomplished that we need to plant some seeds to kind of push that into next year or even finish up strong in this year.
Beautiful, beautiful. So tell me this, how did you get started?
So I kind of began this journey playing in nature as a kid and knowing that that was a great and wonderful thing. I taught school, I taught science and math, and taught as an informal scientist in a 15,000 acre preserve, and started realizing that kids were not connected to the earth anymore, and nor were their teachers even. They wanted to know what the test question was or what the answer was, and so my mind started shifting from the science, the hard science of this is a genus species, to what do you know about it? Why are you curious about it? And what does it do for you or to you when you see it? And so I started putting a little more field sketching and nature journaling into that. And during that time, went through a divorce of my own, and my world kind of fell apart. And one day after church on a Sunday, I was just drawn to the beach. And every Sunday for about 3 months, I went to church, and then I went to the beach and I sat or I walked, and that was my healing place. And I realized that there really was something to this healing that nature had in it. And so I did a little more research and found a group through the Earth-Based Institute that allowed me to get my certification. I am certified both through them and the International Coaching Federation so that I can coach just about anywhere in the world.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. As you're speaking about going to church and going to the beach, I'm like, that sounds like a perfect recipe for a Sunday. Like, I really would like to do that if there were beaches here in the DFW area, but that's a beautiful thing. One thing that you mentioned is that nature helped you heal. And in a few moments, we are going to speak about how nature can actually help us in our wealth building process. But before we start the wealth building process, sometimes we have to heal. So can you tell us a little bit more about how nature helped you heal, especially after you went through a divorce?
Yeah, so like I said, my world had kind of fallen apart. I had two small children. I didn't know what a divorce life looked like, and went through a pretty serious depression, and the doctor wanted to give me medicine that made me like a zombie, and I didn't like it. So I quit taking it. I started going to the beach. There's a lot of research being done on grounding, or earthing, some people call it, where you take your shoes off and you just put your bare feet on the ground. And so I did that. I just put my feet in the sand. The water is very healing for me, so just that sound of the water moving was very healing for me as well. The research shows that 17 minutes a day is all you need, and I think any one of us can carve out 17 minutes to be unplugged and in nature. That's the hard part, is the unplugged part. A lot of times we're like, oh yeah, we just took that hike, but we were listening to our podcast or something. And hikes are, in my opinion, hikes are those fast, let's get to the end hikes. Yes. I'd rather you wander or saunter. Like, just open your curiosity and walk. I don't care if you walk 100 feet in that 17 minutes. Just what catches your attention, and why did it catch your attention? Was it the color? Was it the shape? Was it the texture? And what could it be teaching you? A lot of times when I take a walk today, I just ask myself, what does nature have to teach me as I take that walk? And something comes to mind every time. And that can be that still small voice of God that you're hearing through the tree or the rabbit or the fox. In my case, I see a lot of foxes in my world. So you'll notice that that's my logo, the fox. So yeah, just be curious and be open to it.
Oh my goodness, you shared so much that I want to respond to. So one of the things that you mentioned is that we can actually have like a supernatural experience by simply putting our feet in the sand. Mm-hmm. And as you were speaking about that, I thought about how earlier this year I went to Dubai, and I can remember being at the beach. Not the beach, I'm sorry, at the desert. Mm-hmm. And we went to 2 different deserts, but one of them, I remember we put our feet in the sand, and it was like a supernatural experience. I was like, I don't know what type of sand this is, but this is not the same sand as the beach sand. Like the Sahara Desert sand was amazing. It was. And then I think back to when I went to your retreat last fall, and we went outside, we went to the beach, we stayed right by the beach, and it was just a great way to reflect, release, relax, even after my conference last year.
Right.
So I really appreciate what you're sharing, and I also want to ask you specifically, how do you help busy women who are productive, they're out there, they're on their grind, they're building their wealth, because, in the Business Women Building Wealth community, we are really about building wealth and building 6-figure retirement streams over 6-figure retirement dreams. And so sometimes we're going. Get into the money, get into the bag. So how do you help women like us, and I do say us as including myself, how do you get us to slow down and take those 17 minutes for ourselves with nature so that we can be recharged and refueled and relaxed?
Well, I want to start with saying it can be done. As of September 30th, my husband and I are both retired with a 6-figure retirement plan.
Yes!
So, we are putting our house on the market and going to do the RV travel life for a little while and see where God leads us next. But it can be done. And it does not have to be done at the expense of your health and wellness.
Yes.
So 17 minutes is not much in your daily plan. It can be your cup of coffee on your back porch even. The best way to do it is to have your sit spot, your place in nature that you want to visit regularly, be within 5 minutes of your home. And that way it's something easy to go to, and then to make it routine, whether that's the same time every day or it's a place that you can go to anytime during the day. And adopt the postman's motto, rain or shine, I'm going to go anyway, and find a way to be out in nature every day. Just like we have a dietary pyramid of, our breads and our fruits and our vegetables, we actually have a nature pyramid too. So that 17 minutes a day is that base of that nature pyramid, where we want to do that every day. But we also want to take those retreats where we can truly unplug for 3 or 4 days. It's a little bit higher on there. And then we want to take some pinnacle ones, like your trip to Dubai, or in July, I went to Costa Rica with 13 of my clients, and it was just amazing to take a week. We actually spent 10 days there and just truly immerse ourselves unplugged into the culture and into the nature. So.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So I have a couple of good questions for you.
Okay.
So first we have to back up. We have to rewind this thing.
Okay.
Because a few moments ago, you told us that you were divorced. And then a few moments after that, you said, my husband and I, we retired with 6-figure retirement streams and we're selling our house. Wait a minute. Tell us, are you married again?
I am married again.
Okay, so there's life after divorce.
There is life after divorce, and it's pretty funny. he was neighbors to a friend of mine from church, and one day that neighbor called and said, "Hey, I want you to meet my neighbor." And I laughed hysterically, because I was not looking for love or anything like that. And I think he probably did the same thing. And but something made him call me, and we were supposed to go to lunch, and my cousin showed up that day to let us know he had prostate cancer. And it just canceled all plans. And really, I thought that was the end of it. But he's like, "Hey, let's just reschedule for the next holiday that my daughter has." And we have been happily married for 8 years. And his neighbor says that God told her we'd be perfect for each other. And I think he really knew what he was doing, because Jason is just, he's the yin to my yang. He's the silly, extroverted, fun part of my life. I'm a little more introverted, and we just fit together really well.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I didn't make the Costa Rica retreat, but I did make the retreat in South Texas, and I had the opportunity to see the two of you together, and I was like, that is just a beautiful thing. Sometimes you have those couples that you can look at and you can just see the love. Like it was a beautiful thing. I was like, oh my gosh, they love each other so much.
We do.
And it is a beautiful thing to see you all work together and have a partnership and be able to bring your lives together and be able to truly build something together. That RV life that, we're going to live our best lives for the rest of our lives together. It is a beautiful thing. And I know that there are men and women out there who may be divorced and they're thinking like, is it too late for me? Can I find love in what age were you when you met him, if you don't mind me asking or sharing?
I was 43.
Can I find love in my 40s?
Yeah.
Can I find love in my 40s? After divorce, after being a single mom, you were a single mom, right?
For 12 years, yeah.
After being a single mother, right?
Yeah.
And literally being a teacher, which requires so much of you. I was a science teacher too.
Yeah.
So you're pouring out, you're doing so much for others. The last thing on your list is thinking about finding the love of your life. Am I right?
That is so right. I like I said, I wasn't looking. I certainly wasn't looking. So I'm glad someone else was looking for me, I guess.
Yes. That's the beauty of partnerships and the beauty of proximity. I speak about the power in proximity, and sometimes people may think, oh, it's all business. It's not all business.
It's not.
Like, we're not supposed to live alone. We're not supposed to do life alone. Like, we need someone for something. Everybody needs everybody. And it just so happened that your church member was the person that you needed to deliver your king.
That's right. That's
I
right.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So tell us more about this international retreat in Costa Rica.
So I took 13 of my clients with me, and we went to the cloud forest. So we weren't on the beach this time like we were when you were in South Texas, but we went to the cloud forest, and we stayed in these amazing wooden cabins that had beautiful overlooks of the river that was on the property as well. And then some of them were up high where you could look down the mountainside. And the food was all inclusive and 100% vegan. And I know that might scare some people, but just like we were cleansing our body, our minds and spirits, we were cleansing our bodies too. And the food was amazing and to die for. Nobody went hungry, I promise. And we went and saw waterfalls, and we chased their sacred bird, which is the quetzal in that area. And we got to see it, which is a rare sighting during the time we were there. We got to see 2 of them. And we went to a coffee factory and learned how coffee is made.
Oh, that's
because
cool.
There were, I don't drink coffee, but lots of my clients do. And you're there, you might as well get to see it. So we went from seedling or seed to seedling to plant to parent plant where it's producing, to picking the coffee beans, to drying the coffee beans, to all the different types of roasts that they do with the coffee beans. Yeah. And we got to see it all, and we got to partake in it all.
Oh,
it was amazing.
Oh, yes. That sounds like my type of field trip. When I was a science teacher, I took my scholars to the Dr. Pepper Museum.
Oh, yeah.
And we made our own soft drinks. And I can remember being in Mexico and seeing how tequila was made. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink tequila. But it was just the coolest thing. Yes.
Yeah. Agave is still an amazing plant. And it's not just tequila that comes from the agave. So it's great.
Yes. And when it comes to plants, animals, nature, this woman knows everything. There's a TV show. I'm trying to think of it. there's a man who died at the White House, and there's a woman.
Oh, The Residence.
Yes! Have you seen that series?
Yeah, I actually just watched it.
The entire time I was watching that, I was thinking of you. I was like, I wonder if Miss Lari Jo has seen The Resident.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So I know you know more about what she did in terms of studying the nature and the birds, and she was able, for those of you who don't know, by the way, I may mess it up, I hope I don't, but there's an amazing show on Netflix, and so there's a woman, she serves as a detective, if I'm right, and she has to discover who killed this man in the White House. And so she's able to study the birds in nature, and they give her clues, and she's able to discover the killer from studying the bird. I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if Miss Lari Jo has seen the show. So
I
what was your
just saw it.
Okay, so tell me your thoughts on it.
I love it because, you know, she was just an avid nature nerd like me, and her like entryway, her gateway drug to nature was birds. And when she got this call with at the White House, she was like, well, did you know that Roosevelt had this list, and he wrote this list of all the warblers that he saw in the White House, which are teeny tiny birds that nobody likes to tell apart. And so then as she went through it, it was the skills she learned and the observation and the curiosity that she learned from studying nature and keeping her own nature journal that allowed her to figure out who the killer was. Not necessarily the birds telling her, but those clues, being able to connect them with her trips outside and things she had seen along the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it was like, for me, when I watched it, I said, this is indicative of why you have to pay very, very close attention to how things are related, and how you being knowledgeable in one area can give you a really good transferable skill in another area.
Right.
So they say the devil is in the details. And after watching that show, I was like, I need to be even more detail oriented. And I do want to pay more attention to nature. Right. So I have a few questions that I want to ask you specifically because of your expertise. And then you can ask me any questions. Excellent. So one of the questions that I have in regards to how nature helps us build wealth and mirrors abundance, and we can look at the rhythms, we can look at the growth, the rest, the flow. I want to know, how can trees and other plants model sustainable wealth?
So thinking about a tree, almost all of us know that trees make rings every year, and some of those are large rings, like there's a lot of space between them, and some of them are tiny rings. On those years of small growth, the pith, which is the center of the tree, is the strength that holds them on, so holds it up. So it may not get enough water, or it may not get enough nutrient, but that pith, that section in the center, that stronghold in the center, is what's keeping it alive during that time. That kind of like when a squirrel buries a nut, that food for the winter, that's all there still. So when it goes fallow, it's just conserving energy while it's pulling things from the roots. And that's the same thing we do. We don't get it, hopefully, we don't get a paycheck and spend every penny right away, right? We're putting some of that down in our roots. We're putting some of that down so that we have it for those fallow years, those very skinny years. And then on those years that it's very large, those rings are very large, it's producing more fruit, it's able to serve others. Think about the things you can do as a person with your wealth once you're stable and sustainable to help and serve others. I know it's teeny tiny and small, but when I went to get my hair cut yesterday before I came up here.
And it looks great.
Why, thank you. The gentleman came in, and I'm in a new area, so I didn't get to go to my normal hairdresser. But a gentleman came in, and they were all, oh, hey, Mr. George, did you drive yourself? And he was like, no. And then between the talking, I realized he had dementia, like my mom and my mother-in-law do. My mom has passed away. My mother-in-law we're dealing with right now. And he was counting his pennies, trying to decide if he could get a haircut or the beard trim that he needed, because he couldn't afford both. And I, of course, just turned around and said, give him the works. And he was so excited. Now, that's tiny, but it was something I could do to serve someone else who was in need at that moment. I didn't need that extra $30 it costs for a guy's haircut and beard trim, right? Yeah. But that's the same thing with a tree. It might provide more nuts for the squirrels that live in it. It might provide more leaves for the caterpillars that are in that tree at the moment. The flowers, for the pollinators. It all comes back together and is interconnected.
Oh my goodness, that is so beautiful.
Thank you.
And I am still praying for you and your family and for everyone that is dealing with dementia, Alzheimer's, all of those things. And being a caregiver for your loved ones with those types of conditions is a really big deal. And I know you are a very big blessing to them. I have another question, but I just really want to go with the question that's on my heart.
Okay.
I'm going to put my questions away.
Okay.
I want to go with the question that's on my heart. So I truly believe in the principle of sowing and reaping.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, my name actually means reaper. It means harvester.
Oh, okay.
So if you look up the definition for Terri, it's a derivative of Teresa, which means harvester. So I'm really big on sowing and reaping.
Right.
So what you just shared was that you gave to someone, right? And it may not seem like a lot to you, but I'm pretty sure it meant a lot to him.
Right.
So can you share with us, how can the principle of sowing and reaping in nature also be translated to sowing and reaping in business?
So I talked a little bit about a squirrel earlier, where they plant those seeds, those acorns that they collect during the spring and summer, and they put them on the ground. Well, they're not going to find every single one they eat, right? And eat it during the winter. So some of those become trees that go on to live a long life. It is said that a sapling, so a baby tree, will grow up 7 times. It'll be eaten down and have to grow up 7 times before it ever gets high enough that it can start to become a tree if it's not cared for, if it's just out in the wild. So animals will, of course, eat that new growth down very quickly, but it has to have enough stored to keep sprouting. So I like to look at that as when I hit that wall, and we all hit that wall, whether it's imposter syndrome, I'm not good enough, or whether it's I don't know where to go from now. You feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and nothing's sticking. That's just me being eaten down, and I have to go back to reflecting and figuring out what's my true North Star, which is what I call my true passion. What's my true North Star, and what steps do I need to take to get to my North Star? Because my passion is to give everybody magnificently memorable moments in nature that bring them wholeness and joy. And I want to see you as a whole person, not just somebody who's running after this and leaving everything else behind. So I want to make sure we're well-rounded and talking to the whole person.
I am so glad I asked that question. That was really, really good. I really am going to remember that, because I'm a visual learner, I'm a tactile learner, I am an auditory learner, but as you were speaking, I could literally see the little, what did you say, saplings? The little saplings that are not growing, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like there's this vision where I see all of these saplings that are not growing, and it's like they try and then they have to go back down, and then they try and then they go back down again.
Yeah.
But that 7th time, did you say 7?
7.
That 7th,
which is a very biblical number.
oh my goodness, Lari Jo, I really want to go there. That 7th time, if they make it to number 7, then they can grow up and be a real tree.
Yep.
Is this good? If this is good, you have to put a "this is good" in the comment section. So listen, I have to wrap this up. I wish I could spend so much more time with you on the podcast, but the beautiful thing is we get to spend the entire weekend together.
We do.
So I wanted to ask you this, and for those of you who do not know, I am Dr. Terri Alford. I am known as the Women's Wealth Strategist, and I specialize in helping business owners attract abundance and retire wealthy. And I had the opportunity to work with you. And I want to know, since you have gotten to know me and to work with my team, how have you grown as a person and as a business owner?
So after I met Dr. Terri, I changed my word from balance and strength and belief and all those B words that people like to use to risk, which is not a word that you would use when you talk about my life. I'm not really a risky person, but I put myself out there, and I had a retreat, and then I went to Costa Rica with a retreat. I've got another one scheduled for January in Victoria. I went live more than I would like to say.
Be proud.
I have a whole list of really exciting YouTube videos coming out. As we've been packing the house, I've been doing some nature journaling in our yard because I'm going to be losing the sit spot that I know and love. I was raised on the street my house is on right now, so I've lived in 3 houses on the same street. So it's a little bittersweet to leave my park and leave my sunflowers and leave my favorite oak tree. But I did a lot of journaling on that, and they are being turned into some YouTube channel things where normally it's here's my journal and I'm way back here, like don't look at me, look at my journal. But it's a nice step, risk of being seen. And
Yes.
I need to be seen, and I hope that by being seen here that some of your clients may see the need for some nature connection and come with me in January.
Absolutely. I was going to ask, like, what's next? How can people reach out and work with you? Because one thing about me, I believe in staying in my lane. And so I can't tell you what's happening in nature. I just know we're going to go outside and take some pictures. Right? But I want you all to know more about Lari Jo. Definitely follow her. Again, I went to her retreat last year, and I had a transformational experience, even though I was supporting behind the scenes. I had a lot of aha moments. I was like, okay, I'm not resting enough. I don't go outside enough. I need to do the things that I used to do when I was a little girl so that I can reset.
Right.
So thank you, Lari Jo, for that.
welcome.
Tell us, how can people work with you and what's next? I know you spoke a little bit about January, but feel free. Share with the people how they can sign up for what you have going on next.
So definitely look for me on social media. Inner Naturalist is my name. Inner like inside, naturalist, not naturist, naturalist. Those are 2 very different things if you don't know. And innernaturalist.com with a dash between inner and naturalist is my website as well. I work one-on-one or with small groups, and so we can set up six-pack sessions. That's about what it takes to really get to the nitty-gritty of the why of what you really want to work on. And we can set those up, and I can do them virtually or in person. I am in kind of Central Texas right now, but we can do a Zoom with you sitting in your sit spot and me sitting in my sit spot, and I can talk you through things to do. It works very well. And then, of course, our retreats. They're about quarterly, and our next one is in January, and it is in the Victoria area at an amazing ranch. We were talking about birds earlier. It is known for its birds, so I'm looking forward to that. And it has those little miniature donkeys, so we're going to get to love on the baby donkeys. I'm very excited about
I
that.
immediately thought of Shrek, but okay.
And it's a bed and breakfast, and it is not vegan. In fact, it'll be like 100% Texan. We'll have chili the first night.
Oh,
so
yes.
yeah, it'll be.
I ate good at that first retreat.
Yeah. If there's one thing I don't skimp on, it's food. So
Same.
It's the good Methodist in me. We feed our people, and so I want to be sure that you're fed, because if you're fed, then you can work on the other internal work we need to be working on.
Amen, Lari Jo. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
Thank you for being a part of the first season of the Attract Abundance and Retire Wealthy podcast.
Of course.
Do you have lasting words for us or your favorite quote?
Ooh, my lasting words are not to give up, to just keep going out. And even if you're sitting there going, this is stupid, I feel nothing, go for 17 minutes the next day. And just try to listen a little further. Like quiet your mind and listen out a little further. And God will speak to you in those moments, and the healing will come.
Amen. I'm so proud of you. Well, thank you again.
you.
Thank you all for tuning in. And we will see you all again next time at the Attract Abundance and Retire Wealthy podcast.
Thank you.
Have an abundant week. Adios.